she's in another phone. We are hearing SRIMAD Bhagavatam. Yesterday we heard the glory of SRIMAD Bhagavatam. After Vyasadeva wrote Bhagavatam, then he was completely satisfied. And whoever will hear and follow the teaching of SRIMAD Bhagavatam, he will also get eternal bliss, complete satisfaction, because it is only about pure devotion. There were 4 sittings. Brahma told to Narad. Then Narad told to Vyas. Vyas told to Shukadeva Goswami. And then Suta Goswami, who was there in the assembly where Parikshit Maharaj was hearing, then he told to Shaunakadi Rishis 4 times. And every time there was a pin drop silence. When Brahma told to Narad, only 2 were there. Narad to Vyas, also only 2. Then Vyas to Shukadeva Goswami, only 2. But when Suta Goswami was speaking to Shaunakadi Rishis, there were 60,000 hearing very attentively. No sound was there. Pin drop silence means if you drop 1 pin, you will hear that sound. So they were very eager and very attentively they were hearing. Then when Parikshit, because I was reminded today of one book, when Parikshit Maharaj heard Bhagavatam and he got realization of his real self and was about to give up this body, at that time his mother asked him, "You please tell what you heard in short." So he spoke in concise form that Brihad Bhagavatamrita. It is the essence of Bhagavatam, and there you will find only description of devotion, pure devotion on different levels, different examples and how they are doing and ultimate. So that is Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Then also one Lagu Bhagavatamrita. Brihad means big, Bhagavat Amrita, nectar of Bhagavatam, and Lagu means small one. Rupa Goswami wrote, and this one Sanatana Goswami. So we heard yesterday, simultaneously, the personality of Godhead enjoyed life in the city of Dwaraka, strictly in conformity with the Vedic customs of society, means Varna, Ashram, Dharma, according to your Kshatriya, Brahmana, Shudra or Vaishya, and which stage of life, Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha or Sannyas. So Krishna was following as a householder, king, Kshatriya. That Lila he did to give us example that this is beneficial to follow according to Vedic regulation, that life. He was situated in detachment and knowledge as enunciated by the Sankhya system of philosophy. Here in commentary, Srila Sai Maharaj is telling, while Maharaj Yudhishthir was the emperor of the earth, Lord Shri Krishna was the king of Dwaraka and was known as Dwarakadish. Like other subordinate kings, he was under the regime of Maharaj Yudhishthir. This is also his lila. He is Supreme Lord, but he is acting like ordinary human being to make this. Although Lord Shri Krishna is the Supreme Emperor of the entire creation, while he was on this earth, he never violated the principles of the Vedic injunctions because they are the guide for human life. Regulated human life according to Vedic principles, which are based on the system of knowledge called Sankhya philosophy, is the real way of enjoyment of the necessities of life. Without such knowledge, detachment and custom, the so-called human civilization is no more than an animal society of eat, drink, and be merry and enjoy. The Lord was acting freely as he willed, yet by his practical example he taught not to lead a life which goes against the principles of detachment and knowledge. Attainment of knowledge and detachment, as very elaborately discussed in Shankara philosophy, is the real perfection of life. Knowledge means to know that the mission of human form of life is to end all the miseries of material existence, and that in spite of having to fulfill the bodily necessities in a regulated way, one must be detached from such animal life. Fulfilling the demands of the body is animal life, and fulfilling the mission of spirit soul is the human mission. We get this human life after many lives in other species of life. 8 million other species, aquatics and trees, birds, animals, insects, all this, 8 million. Then we get this human life. So this human life is given by Krishna very mercifully so that we can change. Because it was us who wanted to enjoy this Maya. So we entered and we got this eating, sleeping, defending, and mating enjoyment available in all these different species. Because we wanted this. So after we pass this, then we get human birth. In human birth, we get this discrimination, what is good, what is bad, what is eternal, what is non-eternal, and we can accept eternal truth, we can come out. So if someone misuses this human birth for only to continue that eating, sleeping, mating, defending, and trying to improve that more and more, then he wasted human life opportunity. And first step in human life is to follow Vedic regulation of life. According to your conditioning, you have to be situated in Varna ashram, then you will have to do those duties, and that is happy life without sins, and you can fulfill all your basic necessities and all this, and at the same time you have to worship Supreme Lord. So knowledge means this: to end all miseries, you have to know the causes we have turned away from Krishna, so that we have to correct, and we have to fulfill all our bodily and mental needs also in a regulated way, so that it is favorable to the service of Krishna. That does not mean that we will commit suicide, but we have to live in such a way that it is favorable for spiritual cultivation, and very easily you will get. So therefore, before, when Sutta Goswami started to speak, he told that the purpose of human life is only to have good health, survival, but for the sake of inquiry into the absolute truth. So both have to go together, because this facilitates one another. So Krishna also taught this by example while staying in Dwarakadham. You will find he was doing some pastimes in Vrindavan. They are not to be imitated. They are in violation of Vedic principles. So those things are not to be violated, and that was done in only there. But that is highest type of dharma that gradually we can understand what are those leelas are about. But this we have to follow. That is first step, to regulate according to Vedic injunctions, but that is individual, according to your nature and inclinations. Snigdha smitavalokena vacha piyusha kalpaya charitrena navadyena shri niketena chatmana. He was there in his transcendental body, the residence of the goddess of fortune, with his usual gentle and sweetly smiling face, his nectarian words, and his flawless character. Imam lokam amum chaiva aramayan sutaram yadun reme kshanadaya data kshana strikshana sohridaha. The Lord enjoyed his pastimes both in this world and in other worlds, higher planets, specifically in the association of the Yadu dynasty. At leisure hours offered by night, he enjoyed the friendship of conjugal love with woman. Here I will read commentary so that we may not misunderstand or equate one with another. The Lord enjoyed in this world with his pure devotees. Although he is the personality of Godhead and is transcendental to all material attachment, he nevertheless exhibited much attachment for his pure devotees on the earth, as well as for the demigods who engage in his service in the heavenly planets as powerful delegated directors in the management of all material activities. He displayed special attachment for his family members, the Yadus, as well as for his 16,000 wives, who had the opportunity to meet him in the leisure hours of night. All these attachments of the Lord are manifestations of his internal energy, internal potency, of which the external potency is only a shadow representation. In the Skanda Puran, Prabha Skanda, in the topics between Lord Shiva and Gauri, that is Parvati, there is confirmation of his internal potential manifestations. There is mention of the Lord's meeting with 16,000 cowherd damsels, although he is the Hangsa, means transcendental supersoul and maintainer of all living entities. The 16,000 cowherd damsels are a display of 16 varieties of internal potencies. This will be more elaborately explained in the 10th canto. It is said there that Lord Krishna is just like the moon, and the internal potential damsels are like the stars around the moon. That is transcendental lila, we have to understand. That is enacted by internal potency, Yogamaya. They are all beyond, they have nothing to do with this material energy, any selfishness, any ignorance, all this. No, that is pure loving relationship between Krishna and his devotees. That is why that after narrating that Lila, Vyasadeva gave one warning. You should not imitate this, or you should not think this is worldly, because it is not. It would be like yesterday I told, like Shiva, he can drink that poison, but we cannot. So we have our own the duty to do, or our own work to do. We cannot do what Krishna is doing. Even we cannot do what his personal associates are doing by imitation. We have to follow their instructions how to serve Krishna, then that will be beneficial for us. Otherwise, we will think, I can do like Krishna, I can do like those personal associates, then that will be wrong and we will get opposite result. We will not get eternal welfare, but some mundane entanglement and as a reaction suffering. So later also Vyasadeva, after a few verses, he said that only one who is endowed with firm faith, Shraddhanvita, and who is capable of Anushrinuyat. Shraddhanvita means one who has firm faith. Shraddha Bishwash Kohe Sudrido Nishchoy. Krishna Bhakti Koile Sarva Karma Krito Hoy. That by serving Krishna, all our duties are automatically done, and Krishna is the only enjoyer. All others are to be enjoyed by him, because all the relationship with him is like this. But if someone thinks that Krishna may have 16,108 wives in Dwarka, yes, he is very powerful. But I can then also have at least few. I can be partner in the enjoyment of Krishna. I can do like him. Then that is not actually firm faith. That Krishna is the only enjoyer. Krishna says in Gita, Aham hi sarvaya jnanam bhokta cha prabhur evacha. I am the only one enjoyer and owner. But now, under the influence of illusion, we do not perceive like that. We try to be like, our Gurudev used this word, Lilliput Krishna, like small Krishna, in imitation. We try to enjoy, but it doesn't prove out well. So if someone does not have such firm belief, Krishna is the only enjoyer, all others are to be enjoyed by him, are his servants, then he will misunderstand that Leela. That is why that Leela is narrated in 10th canto. Before that, there are 9 cantos to make us understand who is Krishna in truth and who we are in truth in relation to him, and what is Mahamaya, what is Yogamaya, internal potency, what is external potency. Clearly we have to differentiate. Otherwise, if we mistake one for another and try to imitate, then there will be spiritual fall. We will be disconnected from spiritual realization. So, and Anushrinuyat, we have to hear from bona fide source, realized soul, like Shukadeva Goswami. He did not start with 10th canto. He spoke 9 cantos, and Parikshit Maharaj was attentively hearing and understanding and experiencing, realizing and putting forth proper questions to show where is his consciousness. Then after he spoke about those leelas, because then that will be properly received and one will get devotion. So Anushrinuyat from bona fide source, and that bona fide source will consider our eligibility, our qualification, when to speak what, according to our state of consciousness. Speak what? And Anushrinuyat means you have to be established in that you can continuously hear and chant. That is, when you are already free of these other worldly desires, then only you can continuously be engaged in the service of Krishna. So this condition is there, given by Vyasadeva himself or Shukadeva Goswami, before we can hear that Leela, so that we will properly receive it and get spiritual welfare. Otherwise, we may get something else and that will degrade us. Like if in Ayurveda, if you have some problem with liver then at that time you should not eat fatty things like ghee and these things, then that will be fatal. You can die also. But ghee is very nutritious. But for whom? For one who can digest it. Otherwise, that same ghee, if you have like jaundice, I got it once, then your liver, hepatitis A, then your liver does not work. If at that time you eat ghee, you can die also. But another person can eat ghee and he will get nourishment. His body will be very good. Like that, those who are qualified, if they hear those lilas, they will get spiritual benefit. But one who may misunderstand it, he is not supposed to hear, and Guru will not speak, because then indigestion problem will be and you will lose that. So if someone thinking Krishna has so many wives or so many gopis, so I can also have some in imitation, then you will not get proper benefit from that. First we have to understand what is matter, what is spirit, what is lust, what is devotion, pure devotion on eternal transcendental platform, that we have to practically understand before trying to understand those lilas. Tasyaivam arama manasya samvatsara ganan bahun griha medeshu yogeshu viraga samajayata. The Lord was thus engaged in household life for many, many years, but at last his detachment from ephemeral sex life, that is temporary, was fully manifested. He also played this pastime to give us teaching. Here in commentary, even though the Lord is never attached to any kind of material sex life, as the universal teacher, he remained a householder for many, many years, just to teach others how one should live in householder life. He had 10 sons with each wife. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that the word samajayata means fully exhibited. In all his activities while present on the earth, the Lord exhibited detachment. This was fully displayed when he wanted to teach by example that one should not remain attached to household life for all the days of one's life. One should naturally develop detachment as a matter of course. The Lord's detachment from household life does not indicate detachment from his eternal associates, the transcendental cowherd damsels, that is gopis. But the Lord desired, but that is not lust. But the Lord desired to end his so-called attachment to the three modes of material nature. He can never be detached from the service of his transcendental associates like Rukmini and other goddesses of fortune as described in Brahma Sanhita, Lakshmi Sahasrashata Sambrahma Sebhyamalam, always serving him. Because that is not worldly thing. You will find in Gopal Tapani Upanishad, gopis, that lila was made with Durvasa Rishi and gopis to give us knowledge. Those who will read Upanishads, they wanted to cross the Jamuna river and they did not know how. Then Krishna told them, Durvasa Rishi, I think first he told them, you cross the river. Yes, they wanted to meet Krishna. Then Durvasa Rishi told them, you tell to Jamuna that Krishna is Nitya Brahmachari, all the time Brahmachari, means always in celibacy, always. Then Jamuna gave way and they could enter there. Then they were wondering how this is. Krishna is with so many girls, how he's Brahmachari. And then when they were returning back, Krishna told them, you tell to Jamuna that Durvasa never eats. They crossed and they brought so many food, and Durvasa was eating. So they were not understand, means playing the pastime of not understanding. How is that true? That Durvasa never eats, but we see how much he's eating, and all the rice, kheer, everything. And Krishna is with so many girls, he's always in celibacy. How this is? Then the explanation is given, this is on transcendental platform, so it has nothing to do with these mundane things. Those who are pure devotees also, they are not eating as we are eating. They're really honoring Krishna's prasad. That is not like karmic eating or out of necessity or out of enjoyment. It is of different category. Or those pastimes of Krishna, that is also on transcendental platform. So it has nothing to do with material sex enjoyment. And that is why he is always brahmachari, always in celibacy, because that is different. That is transcendental lila. Gradually we have to, by proper process, we have to understand and realize. This Mahamaya is perverted reflection of Yogamaya. So the difference is there. Deva dineshu kameshu deva dhina swayam puman ko vishram bheta yogena yogeshwaram anuvrataha. Every living entity is controlled by a supernatural force, and thus his sense enjoyment is also under the control of that supernatural force. No one therefore can put his faith in Lord Krishna's transcendental sense activities, but one who has become a devotee of the Lord by rendering devotional service. No one can understand and can have faith unless he got that glimpse by submitting to him. Then by his grace he can understand that that is different. Like when our Gurudev was in America, after the program in one church, then one person who was attending there, he was walking with our Gurudev towards the car, and he told him, Swamiji, he was American, I like to read Bhagavad Gita every day. I like very much. Before reading Bhagavad Gita, at least something, I don't do any other work in the morning, eating or anything. First, I like so much. Then Gurudev first said, it's very nice. I never thought there is such a person here in America that is so much liking Bhagavad Gita. Gurudev praised him. Then that person said, but Swamiji, although I like Gita very much, but I don't believe Krishna is Supreme Lord. Because he was born, he has parents, and he may be some like great diplomat or politician or superhuman being, some with great power like this, but not as Supreme. Then Gurudev told him, you are reading Gita every day. Many times you read. You give me one evidence from Gita, one verse from Gita to substantiate your view, what you just now said. There is no such verse. Just the opposite. Krishna is telling, from me everything is coming. And so many other things he is explaining, and how and everything. And he's also telling, Janma Karma Chame Divyam. My birth and my activities are divya, they are divine. They are transcendental, they are not this material. And one who understands that, practically, he will not take another more birth in this world. He will be rescued. Means one who will surrender to Krishna and by his grace will get that realization about who Krishna really is and what he's doing and what is his lila of taking birth. He's accepting some devotees as parents to give them opportunity of that type of service. But that is not under the influence of this Mahamaya and all his activities. So many activities you will find in Mahabharata, but that is outside of Vrindavan, as king and as messenger and so many things. So one cannot understand how Krishna is acting. Even that Vrindavan Lila, no one can understand without Krishna's mercy. Rupa Goswami wrote that verse, Ata Shri Krishna Namadina Bhaid Grajyam Indriye Sevan Mukha Hijibadav Swayam Evas Puratyada. No one can comprehend the true nature of Krishna's name, form, attributes, qualities, and pastimes and associates with the help of these gross or subtle material senses. Not even with pure consciousness. Impossible. Only one who will become inclined to serve him. By the company, he will awaken that service attitude by the company of devotees or by the grace of Krishna. If he will do that, then all these things about Krishna, they will be revealed to him by Krishna. Then he can properly understand, otherwise not. Kamsa saw Krishna, but he fought against him. Then ultimately he realized who is Krishna. So here it is written, no one therefore can put his faith in Lord Krishna's transcendental sense activities, but one who has become a devotee of the Lord by rendering devotional service. Only he can understand what is going on, and he can get eternal bliss by rendering that devotional service. Bhaktyamam abhijanati javan yaschashmi tattva. This is in Gita. One cannot know even a fraction of the activities of the Lord if he is not a pure devotee of the Lord. At least one who is practitioner of pure devotion to Supreme Lord. He can know up to that extent how much he is genuinely engaged in his service. But fully, totally beyond Maya, those who are pure devotees, they can clearly see. And they clearly differentiate between transcendental lila and these material activities. That is why they know I cannot explain that to this condition so easily. It is not so easy. Because they will try to imagine by their worldly experience. But that is different. So they will have to explain as per their capacity gradually, and to engage them in the service of Krishna. Then gradually they can hear about those intimate pastimes. It is not for all. You will find in the writings of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur, Vyasadeva wrote those verses to give warning, and also that it is not for ordinary people and those who are unqualified. Bhaktivinoda Thakur also wrote like this. So we are following that way. Puryam kadachit kriradbhir yadu bhoja kumarakai kopita munayakshepur bhagavan mata kovidaha. Once upon a time, great sages were made angry by the sporting activities of the princely descendants of the Yadu and Bhoja dynasties, and thus, as desired by the Lord, the sages cursed them. This we will find in 11th canto. The disappearance pastime of Krishna and how he made that quarrel among them, by which they all killed each other by mutual fighting, so that they left this world. That is one kind of drama. Tatah kati payer maser vrishni bojan da kadaya yayuh prabhasam samhrishta rateir deva vimohitaha. A few months passed, and then, bewildered by Krishna, all the descendants of Brishni, Bhoja and Andaka, who were incarnations of demigods, went to Prabhas, this is one holy place, while those who were eternal devotees of the Lord did not leave, but remained in Dwaraka. Tatra snatva pitrin devam rishim shchaiva tatambasa tarpayitvatha viprebhyo gavo bahu guna dadu. After arriving there, all of them took bath, and with the water of this place of pilgrimage, they offered their respects to the forefathers, demigods, and great sages, and thus satisfied them. They gave cows to the Brahmanas in royal charity. This is like a Shrad ceremony of departed souls, so that they will be satisfied. So they did this. One second. Yes. For pure devotee of the Lord who are completely satisfied with the transcendent loving service of the Lord, there is hardly any necessity to visit the various places of pilgrimage. But those who are not so advanced have the prescribed duties of visiting pilgrimage sites and regularly performing those rituals of Shrad. So they had to do this in order to be example for society, like Prahlad Maharaj. Nrsimha Bhagavan, he told him, it is not necessary for you to make these rituals for your father, because you are already pure devotee. By serving Krishna, you are serving all properly. But others are not, and you are a king. So if you will not do this, they will also not do. But it is necessary for them, for gradual upliftment, so you have to do this as an example for society. So they also did like that. Hiranyam Rajatam Shajjam Vasam Sajina Kambalan Yanam Ratam Ibhan Konya Dharam Vrittikarim Api. The Brahmanas were not only given well-fed cows in charity, but also gold coins, bedding, clothing, animal skin seats, blankets, horses, elephants, girls, and sufficient land for maintenance. Deer skin or tiger skin for asana, but that is in Dwaraka, in Dwapar Yuga, in that age, that is allowed by Kshatriyas when they go on hunting expedition, when there is no war to train, it is only allowed for them. So from those, they can make this, but in Kali Yuga, it is not allowed. That is why also Mahaprabhu, when he saw that, I think Brahmananda Bharati, that sannyasi, he was having deer skin. The Mahaprabhu did not approve. Then once he removed it, then Mahaprabhu accepted him. And the girls, that is for marriage, they give. This is also one kind of gift in those ages, and for qualified Brahmins to assist them in their worship of Supreme Lord. Konya Dan, it is called Konya Dan. Like many things you can do, you can give in charity. So one thing is also this, Kanya, to offer daughter, to be wife of that Brahman. Annam choru rasam tebyo datva bhagavat arpanam go viprartha savashura pranemur bhuvi murdha B. Thereafter, they offer the Brahmanas highly delicious foodstuffs, first offered to the personality of Godhead, and offer their respectful obeisances by touching their heads to the ground. They lived perfectly by protecting the cows and the Brahmanas. We are offering our Dandavat Pranam, means respectful obeisance, to Supreme Lord and also to his devotees. They are very dear to Krishna. So we have to offer them respectful obeisances in that relation. They are very dear to Krishna and they are elevated, and Krishna is pleased with this sort of behavior. This is the end of this chapter. Next one, chapter 4. Vidur approaches Maitreya. Uddhava Uvach. Atha te tat anugyata bhuktva pitva chavarunim taya vi bramshita jnana durukter marma pas prishuv. Thereafter, all of them, means the descendants of Vrishni and Bhoja dynasties, being permitted by the Brahmanas, partook of the remnants of prasad and also drank liquor made of rice. This is also one kind, like out of honey. That is different type than that wine. By drinking, they all became delirious and bereft of knowledge. They touched the cores of each other's hearts with harsh words. This is always happening. When someone is drunk, then he becomes very harsh. Tesham Maireya Doshena Vishami Krita Chetasam Nimlochati Rava Venunam Iva Mardanam. As by the friction of bamboos, destruction takes place, the fire comes, then whole forest is burned. So also, at sunset, by the interaction of the faults of intoxication, all their minds became unbalanced and destruction took place. That is why we should not use intoxicants. That is prohibited for those who want to progress on spiritual path. That cannot help us progress. It is a block. It is bad for health and it is a block for spiritual progress. Bhagavan Svatma Maya Gatim Tam Avalokya Saha Saraswatim Upasprishya Vriksha Mulam Upavishat. The personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, after foreseeing the end of his family, by his internal potency, went to the bank of the river Saraswati, sipped water, and sat down underneath a tree. That was made by Krishna. That was his desire, to make such lila, so in that way they will disappear from this world. But that was done by internal potency. And he also came there to under that tree. Aham chokto bhagavata prapannarti harenaha badarim tvam prayahiti swakulam sanji hirshuna. The Lord is the vanquisher of the distresses of one who is surrendered unto him. Thus he who desired to destroy his family told me previously to go to Badrik Ashram. In the 11th canto, we will find this, how Krishna is instructing Arjuna just before his disappearance and those other family members. Then ultimately he told him, now you have to go to Badrik Ashram, that is in Himalaya. one of the 4 holy places. Jamunotri, where Jamuna comes out, Gangotri, where Ganga comes out, then Kedarnath, that is Shiva, and Badrinath, Narayan, Vishnu. 4 places, very sacred. In previous time you had to walk. Now there are some buses, something you have to walk. But before, as we heard from Srila Bon Maharaj, he needed 2 months every day walking to finish that whole pilgrimage to those 4 holy places. 2 months walking, I think it was 850 miles. Every day walking, almost like whole day. From one, there are many stopping places in between and many places of pilgrimage. But ultimately you have to reach these 4. So 2 months walking. So Uddhava was also instructed by Krishna to go to Badrikashram. Tathapi tat abhipretam janan aham arindama prishtaton va gamam bhartuh pada vishleshanakshamaha. Yet, in spite of my knowledge, of my knowing his desire, that is, to destroy the dynasty, O Vidur, another name is Arindama, I followed him because it was impossible for me to bear separation from the lotus feet of the Master. Adraksham ekam asinam vichinvan deitam patim Sriniketam Saraswatyam Krita Ketam Aketanam. Thus following, I saw my patron and master, Lord Shri Krishna, sitting alone and deeply thinking, taking shelter on the bank of the river Saraswati, although he is the shelter of the goddess of fortune. Here in commentary, Sai Maharaj is explaining, those who are in the renounced order of life often take shelter underneath a tree. The Lord was found by Uddhava in that condition of taking shelter, as do persons who have no shelter. Because he is the proprietor of everything, everywhere is his shelter, and everywhere is under his shelter. The entire material and spiritual cosmic manifestations is sustained by him, and therefore he is the shelter of everything. So therefore, there was nothing astonishing in his taking shelter in the way of the unsheltered who are in the renounced order of life. So here this is mentioned. He took shelter under a tree, like generally those who are either poor, they have no shelter, or those who willingly renounce all opulence for spiritual progress, they are under tree. But here Krishna was under tree, and at the same time he is the shelter of the goddess of fortune, from whom all wealth is coming. So that was also one kind of lila for him. So tomorrow we will hear what happened in that meeting.